5 questions and answers about COVID vaccines. Here we go again for another plain English lesson, this time number 357. I'm Jeff, JR is the producer, and the full lesson is available at plainenglish.com/357. Coming up today, 5 questions and answers about the COVID vaccines, including side effects, shot timing, and more. I got my first dose of the Pfizer vaccine, and I'm waiting for my second dose. JR is fully vaccinated with the Moderna vaccine. He was a few weeks ahead of me. Before we start, I do want to recognize that we have listeners all over the world, and everyone is going to be in a different spot with respect to the vaccine. We have listeners in Israel, which has led the world in vaccination. We have listeners in Europe and America, which are in the middle of the rollout. And we have listeners in Japan, which is off to a slow start, and Brazil, which is also off to a slow start and battling a vicious new wave. Some places are competently administering the vaccine, other places not so much. Wherever you are in the timeline, here are 5 questions and answers about the vaccines. Vaccination is continuing around the world, unevenly to be sure, but it is continuing. Most countries prioritized the elderly, frontline workers, and the most vulnerable health-wise. When your turn comes, or as you start thinking about your turn, you might have a few questions about the vaccine and its side effects. So I put together a list of common questions and answers. And even if you know the answers, it'll be good to hear them in English. So the first question: how many shots do you need, and when does the second dose come? It depends on which vaccine you get. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are both 2-dose vaccines. The second Pfizer dose comes 3 weeks after the first. The second Moderna dose comes 4 weeks later. What if you can't get it exactly 21 or 28 days later? Don't panic. The companies say you should definitely not get the second dose early. But if you need to get it a few days later, that's okay too. The companies say you should try to get the second dose as close as possible to the recommended date. But if your second dose comes up to 6 weeks later, that would also be okay. The Sinovac vaccine is also 2 doses. They originally recommended it 14 days after the first dose, but studies found that a 3-week gap is even more effective. In short, follow whatever the current guidelines are. There haven't been enough studies to say exactly when is the best day, so try to get closest to the current recommendation, but it's not the worst thing in the world if you get it a little later. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is 1 dose only. Next question: what are the side effects? Different people react differently to the vaccines, but it's possible to make some general statements. Most people have some side effects, but there's a wide range. The strongest side effects come from the second dose of a vaccine made with mRNA technology, including Pfizer and Moderna. More people report getting side effects and more severe side effects from the second dose. The worst outcomes are usually a flu-like symptoms for about a day. Some people describe having a brain fog, and others just feel like they were run over by a truck. That was JR's description after getting the Moderna vaccine. But not everyone has side effects that strong, and they pass within a day or two. The side effects mean that the vaccine is working. The vaccines are intended to provoke your immune system into mounting a response to an invader. The invader is innocent. Our brains know that, but our bodies don't. When you feel side effects, it's because your body is gearing up to fight an intruder. In this way, the side effects of the vaccine are a feature, not a bug. So, does that mean you want to get side effects? Not really. The absence of serious side effects is nothing to be worried about. About a quarter of people who get the mRNA vaccines report no side effects overall, and the vaccines are 95% effective. Regardless of which vaccine you get, you can probably expect some degree of pain, redness, and swelling where the injection happened. They are poking a hole in your arm, after all, but the localized side effects tend to be mild. More generalized symptoms from the mRNA and other vaccines include fatigue, headache, and muscle soreness. Experts say you should drink a lot of water to help make these symptoms more manageable. Third question, what about allergic reactions? About 2 to 5 people per million experience a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine. The good news is that this almost always happens within 30 minutes of getting your dose. Vaccine sites should ask you to stay in observation for 15 to 30 minutes after receiving the shot to make sure you're not going to have an allergic reaction. Vaccine sites have epinephrine on hand in case there are any severe allergic reactions. Next up, will vaccines protect against all variants? This one is a maybe. There are a few major variants described by where they were first identified. The variant from the UK spreads more quickly than the original virus. The vaccines appear to work against this variant. Unfortunately, the variants originating in South Africa and Brazil appear more resistant. Vaccinated individuals still have some protection against these variants. Even if the vaccine doesn't give full protection, it is expected to give partial protection and give protection against the most serious cases. And drug makers can prepare booster shots to add protection against specific variants later. Finally, what to do after getting the vaccine. Save your records. Each country does it differently, but in the United States, the official record of whether you have been vaccinated is a small piece of paper that they give you after your shot. Take a picture of it. If you need a second dose, schedule your second dose for the recommended interval. Many countries have some side effect trackers. You should consider doing those. This will help drug makers and governments measure side effects across larger numbers of people. This is a contribution to our general knowledge of the vaccine, and, in my opinion, contributing is the least we can do for the privilege of getting the vaccine. And last, wait. Even after the second dose, you're not considered fully protected until after about another 14 days. You'll want to still respect any local rules about masks or social distancing. There are two reasons for this. First, simply for the peace of mind of others around you. And second, the vaccines are effective, 75%, 95% effective. But even 95% is not the same as 100%. And you might not suffer symptoms, but you might still be able to transmit the virus. Until enough people in your area are vaccinated, you would still have at least a 1 in 25 chance of catching COVID and therefore spreading it to others. So until enough people in the population get the vaccine, even vaccinated people should still take precautions. The last thing I would recommend is to take some time and be thankful. Be thankful that we live in 2021. COVID was bad. It is terrible. Governments around the world have handled it badly, I think, my own included. Not everyone is getting a vaccine fast enough. Many, many people will have to wait a long time to get it. But this whole ordeal could have been so much worse. The development of a vaccine after less than a year is nothing short of a miracle. So whatever complaints you have about how your local or national government has handled the virus, lockdowns, vaccines, and however much or little you were affected economically, do take some time after getting that first shot to be grateful that we live in such a scientifically advanced age. Today's expression is rare. You'll almost never need to use this phrase. No, I'll correct that. You will never need to use this expression, but if the right moment ever comes, and if you use this correctly, then you'll sound really smart, and that's what we are here to help you do. The expression is a feature, not a bug. We use this expression to describe something that seems like a flaw, but is in fact intentional. A flaw is a mistake or a disadvantage. This is usually used in the context of a product or a service produced by a company. The customers find something they don't like, a flaw. and they complain about it. They wish it were not there. But in fact, the company designed it that way on purpose. When that happens, we say that it's a feature, not a bug. A bug, this is a term from computers. A bug is like a mistake in computer code. The mistake causes the computer program to malfunction or produce an error. That's a bug in the code. I use a Roku to watch TV, and the different streaming services have apps. The baseball app was updated before the season, and there were a few bugs in the app. The app just quit unexpectedly. But they released a new version and they fixed all the bugs. They fixed all the errors that were causing the app to malfunction. A feature, of course, is a benefit to a product. So let's start with a few easy examples of how you can describe something as a feature and not a bug. Some users of Netflix may find that they have to respond to a text message verification code when they access their accounts in the future. How annoying! Boy, Netflix is really making this tough on us. They must not realize how annoying it is to have to take the extra step to enter a text code just to open and use Netflix on our phones, computers, or TV streaming sticks. No. This is a feature, not a bug. You see, Netflix is trying to crack down on people sharing accounts outside their household. You, as a user, may not like this. You, as a user, may think this is some annoying thing that Netflix didn't mean to impose on you. But in fact, Netflix is doing this on purpose. They are doing it to prevent password sharing. So the next time you hear someone complain that Netflix is really inconveniencing them by making them respond to a security verification, you can say that's a feature, not a bug. They're just trying to crack down on password sharing. A few months ago, we talked about Wikipedia. When Wikipedia started, people couldn't believe that just anyone could write articles. People said, hey, we love this idea, but I don't know about letting just anyone write and edit the articles. Wikipedia would be better if it weren't open source. Wikipedia would be better if there were a small number of editors writing all the articles. But as we know, the whole idea behind Wikipedia is that anyone could write and edit articles. The open source nature was not a flaw in the system. That was the way the system was designed. So the open source model for Wikipedia is a feature, not a bug. Now let's take this out of the technology world. One of the very first mass-produced cars was the Ford Model T. There's an old joke that says you could get the Ford Model T in any color you want as long as you wanted it in black. You can imagine consumers thinking, that's annoying. I wish they could make it in a wide variety of colors. I want to customize my car. This sounds like a flaw in the system, Mr. Henry Ford. But in fact, the limited selection was a feature, not a bug, of the Model T. The entire innovation of the Model T was that every single one was identical. Only then could they sell a car that an average middle-class household could afford. Now, let's look at an example from human biology. Remember, we're talking about something that seems like a flaw, but is in fact done intentionally or has a higher purpose. Have you ever had pain in your joints or pain anywhere in your body? Have you ever thought, I just wish this would go away? I just wish I didn't have to live with the pain. But the sensation of pain is a feature, not a bug of human anatomy. You hate it when you experience it, but it's necessary for survival. Without the sensation of pain, we would be less careful with our bodies. We'd burn our skin, we'd hit our heads, we'd overuse our muscles, we'd put too much load on our joints. Pain is an essential signal from our body parts to our brains. I hate it. We all hate it when we experience it, but this is not a flaw in human anatomy. This is something going right. It's not something going wrong. It's working as intended. It is a feature, not a bug of human anatomy. All right. So do you remember how you heard it earlier in today's lesson? We were talking about the side effects of the coronavirus vaccines. Why do you get these side effects? It's so annoying. You're getting a vaccine to prevent disease, not cause it. Why can't they just make vaccines that are free of side effects? You know where this is going. The side effects are a feature, not a bug. The vaccine is intended to activate your immune system. The whole purpose of the vaccine is to make your body's immune system jump into action and get ready to fight a disease. That disease isn't there now, but it might be coming someday. So, of course, your body is going to start acting like it's sick. And when your body acts like it's sick, you start to feel the side effects. The side effects might be unpleasant. We might not want to live through them in the moment, but they are not an unintended consequence. You get them for a good reason. So we can say the side effects are a feature and not a bug. Now remember, you'll never absolutely need to use this phrase, but if you ever hear it, now you'll know what the person is saying. And if you are ever in a situation where someone is complaining about something which you know is intended and serves a purpose, you can say, that's a feature, not a bug. Time for JR's Song of the Week. It's Heat Waves by the Glass Animals. It's the biggest hit from the Glass Animals to date. The frontman for the band, Dave Bailey, said he wrote the song in an hour late at night after a long day of not coming up with any good ideas. Sometimes it happens that way, right? You just get a burst of innovation. And that's what happened with this one. Check it out, Heat Waves by the Glass animals. That's it for today. Congratulations on reaching the end of this very long lesson. Go get your shot when it's your turn. Schedule a day or two for recovery from side effects. And let's all be thankful that we live in an age where so much is known about disease and prevention. For those of you not yet able to get vaccinated, hang in there. Your day will come, and when it does, it will feel great. See you next week. Stay healthy.